Hey, welcome back to another episode of Queen's Comic Podcast. I'm Billy Bombs,
And I'm Ian.
and here we're going to talk about all things comics that we can think about. One tragic thing happened recently. A New York legend and a great pioneer of comics, Al Jaffee, has passed away. And I brought out some of my. Actually, this is kind of weird. I love these books called "The Mad Strikes Again" and "Mad Reader." Well, I guess they'd be pocket-sized books.
Yeah, Pocket Digest books.
Pocket Digest. There's 8 of them that I collect. There's billions of them in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the 50th anniversary edition that I tried to collect. I got 1 through 8. And he's actually the guy who invented the folding gag.
Yes, the foldouts. That's what he's best known for, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of people were like, oh, he's because I posted a photo of him on our Instagram for a story of him in Manhattan High School with another writer when they're teenagers and just goofing off. And you got to love the fact that he was so brilliant and he stayed writing it except for one issue until he was 99.
He lived to 102 years old,
So
which is
that's
pretty impressive.
Yeah, once you stop working, you're in trouble. But he seems to have loved his work, and like I love the comics, and I love the idea of like coming up with some new style of art. And people always said that if you ever found a Mad magazine that's not creased, that's a 10.0 if you got it graded. They're all creased.
And they should all be creased, because if you had those foldouts, you were folding them.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole point.
Figure out what's the joke.
Mhm.
And he was a genius. I love that. Rest in peace, buddy. Well, I guess we're gonna start off with we have an artist from a lady from New York named Heather Benjamin, and I haven't shown this book to Ian yet, so I'm gonna show it to him while we're doing it. His description of it will be the best way to describe it. It's an underground artist from Pratt University.
I got a feeling things are about to get a little smutty.
Oh hell yeah! Here you go. I love.
Oh, it does say not. So the Exorcise book by Heather Benjamin. It's a flat blue cover with black text and the title and the artist's name on it, and then a bright, bold neon orange sticker that says "Not for the timid," with a woman crying blood holding a whip.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to describe the back cover.
It's some of the dirtiest artwork I've ever seen in my life, and I have one of the posters.
First page is a woman bleeding from her eye and bleeding from her nose, cutting off her nipple, holding up the peace sign, saying "Shut up." This is great.
Yeah, because I know how much Ian loves underground artwork, and the best thing I can do is show him some new people that have come in through.
This is pretty wild stuff. It's a lot of vaginal imagery.
Yeah, he's a wild woman.
Yeah, definitely. It's hyper detailed though. Like everybody is crying on every one of these pages. Everybody is crying or bleeding from the eyes or from other parts.
Yeah, a lot of hair.
A lot of hair in spots where sometimes you expect it and sometimes you don't. Even the odd male character that shows up is bleeding. This is nuts.
Do you need one for your collection?
I do. Yeah,
I'll get you one when
she's local.
Yeah, well, she's I don't know where she's from, but I know her from coming to college here in Pratt.
Okay.
Because I met a lot of students that came through there, and they're all punk rockers. They're all great people. They would do flyers for bands and one-off like T-shirts. And I was like, you guys gotta start putting out more books. And she was like, I got a book, and I had to have this one.
There's an amazing illustration of a woman lying sort of on her back with her hips and ass up. She's stabbing herself and literally stabbing herself with one hand, pleasuring herself with the other, and it says "True Love" underneath it.
Yep.
This is bonkers, man.
Yeah, I know.
But she's got talent. I mean, the artwork
She's one of the
very
most talented
cool.
human beings I know.
Very cool artwork. Wild on the detail. Clearly has a thing for crying. Because there's even one picture with a skull, and even the skull is crying.
Yeah.
Everybody's crying.
And
that makes me sad.
well, you gotta remember. I'm gonna connect the dots on all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is the punk rock scene from New York, New Jersey, Boston, Rhode Island. This is the underground punk scene, like truly underground. Pittsburgh, Oakland, Austin, Texas, and LA. I guess they would call it, what's the name? Like 8th Street. And all these punk bands and all these artists, they're all reaching their 30s now, but when they were younger, these are all 10 years old plus books. They came out with some of the best artwork, some of the most original stuff I ever saw. Flyers were on point, T-shirts were on point. She's if I have a top 5, her is definitely in it for young artists, along with have you ever heard of an artist named Haley Swain?
Don't know Haley Swain.
From Portland, Oregon. She does a lot of covers for a lot of great punk rock bands. And like they're punk rock, but they sound metal. They're phenomenal. I gotta give you a lot of crap to listen to.
Yeah, this is cool. Copyright date on is 2010 to 2013, so it was done over 3 years. There is one picture with a woman who is not crying, just one, but she is drooling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting.
Always
That's crazy.
My whole goal now, every episode, at least one episode, is to show you something I definitely know you've never seen.
I have not seen that one. Nope, have not seen that one.
You want to do the Underground of the Week?
Underground of the Week, Cocaine Comix number 3. Just picked this up today from Last Gasp, 1981. Kind of the claim that there's 2 reasons this book is well known. The first, the most obvious, is the cover.
I've seen that tattooed on a lot of people.
Yeah, it's done by Robert Williams, probably best known for the Appetite for Destruction centerfold on the first pressing Guns.
Is it the one with that poster where it's like a machine flying down?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Bro, you know how dumb I feel? I love that cover.
It's Robert Williams.
That is so good.
So anyway, he did that. But yeah, this cover by Robert Williams has the devil himself looking very suave with a straw up his nose, and 3 topless women in lingerie holding a shovel of cocaine and a straw. Pretty cool stuff. The second reason it's famous is the first story in it is by George DiCaprio. And he is Leonardo DiCaprio's father.
Really?
Yes.
Bro,
he did a few underground books.
You truly one-upped me on this one today because that just blew me away.
I don't know. That Exorcise book is something else.
Yeah, but I didn't expect that.
So yeah, I'm just flipping through it now for the first time. I've never seen this comic before. I mean, I've seen the cover, but I've never got to flip through it. Second story is by Greenwood and Von Scully. I don't know who they are. It's typical underground stuff, but it's all cocaine themed, which kind of makes it fun. Now, I'm not saying you should do cocaine. You should probably not do cocaine. It's not good for you. But if you read comics about cocaine, no harm, no foul, right? There's also a Robert Williams centerfold in the middle that is pretty cool.
And it's there? That's amazing. You don't know how hard that's... Dude, this guy is very talented.
He's great. Yeah, black and white piece. A lot of devil imagery, which is common in Williams' work. Naked ladies, one of whom is pulling the guts out of a demon who is drinking a stein of beer. So I think it's just supposed to be like his interpretation of hell, because there's like a big Baphomet in the background.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's another story in here called Bimbo Enjoys Cocaine, which is a naked woman doing cocaine. That's really all it is. There's a picture of Woody Allen in the background for some reason.
I guess they knew something back then we didn't know.
They might have. Another story by William Greenwood called Coke Moon. That's kind of a sci-fi parody, once again involving cocaine. And last story, I think it is, Can You Keep From Crying When the Coke Thulu Says Goodbye? I don't know what this is. It's like some sort of H.P. Lovecraft type parody, because it's got like old gods type monsters in it and stuff.
I love stuff like that.
But they're all doing cocaine. Take a shot during this episode anytime I say cocaine. Make a drinking game out of it.
Don't do a line.
No, don't do a line.
You'll die.
Yeah, so crazy stuff. It's got some S. Clay Wilson art in it as well. Including a picture where a demon does cocaine from a woman's nether region. Yeah. S. Clay Wilson did the back cover too. Cocaine addicts as imagined by a beer-drinking Quaker gentleman in the farmlands of Pennsylvania is what it says. And it's a bunch of sleazy people doing lines.
Be honest with me. How long have you been looking for this book now?
A while. Yeah, definitely a while. It's not an easy book to come by. I believe there's only one printing of it, as opposed to a lot of the undergrounds, which got reprinted over and over again. This one only had one. It does tend to go for a bit of money when it shows up. I've seen it sell on eBay for over 100. So shout out to Anthony for hooking me up with this
Street Side Anthony
presentable copy. It's not the highest grade copy you'll ever see, but I was happy to get it at the price he gave it to me for. Check it out, the want list.
It's nicer than the ones I've seen in stores.
Yeah.
Because like I've seen so many underground books so well read that I'm like, this is kindling.
Well, you got to figure maybe the guys who were reading Cocaine Comix when it first came out were enjoying cocaine while they did it. I don't know.
All I know is that it drives me nuts. That devil logo face, I've seen way more than you think. And I did not know it was from a comic.
It's around. It's been bootlegged. Like I've seen stickers of it and t-shirts of it and stuff. I'm sure it's bootlegged. And
St. Mark's Place has that everywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the next book you want to do? Or should I jump onto this one I just found?
Jump.
We did this weird Long Island show that was really like cruddy. It was all mystery boxes, so I just grabbed a couple of them, which I wasn't happy about. But 2 of the books I got in there, the first one I found made me really happy was an oversized Will Eisner magazine-sized book from Kitchen Sink Press. And I love all that stuff. In the last episode, you hear me talking about, like, I don't like some of these issues, but I've been reading only the single issues. I never read any magazines from this series. So, and the fact that the cover is front and back, and it looks like, oh my God, This is gonna kill me. Looks like the good, the bad, and the ugly in the background.
It looks like Tuco, yeah.
Yeah. What a great actor. That guy's a phenomenal
Eli
actor.
Wallach was the man.
Oh, I didn't know his name. I just know him. I saw him somewhere else. I was like, oh, it's him.
A friend of mine, his mother was a stage actress
Really?
on Broadway, yeah. And she worked with Eli Wallach on a play back in, I think, the 60s, maybe the early 70s. And before she passed away, she had nothing but nice things to say about him. Apparently, he was an absolute gentleman.
Well, I learned something about life because anybody who plays a bad guy on TV is usually a great guy, and anybody who plays the hero is always a scumbag.
It does seem to work out that way sometimes.
Because it's like you have to give a lot to be hated, and it's never somebody. And like whatever makes you negative in life, you kind of bring out as your character, but you're not bringing it out in your real character. You're just playing a character,
right?
But it also, I think, negates anything negative because you've already seen what the outcome could be. Yeah. So here, this is my favorite part. I just opened this up to is that the one that has a checklist to all the other issues with some great covers. I'm like,
so you're looking at the Kitchen Sink Spirit magazine. Which number?
27.
27. All right.
But when I opened up to the story, it's the one thing I want more than anything. First published February 1st, 1942. So I get all the early work.
Right.
And I love it, man. And it's already like a spy, like it looks like a spy story on Waikiki Beach. Them looking for I guess they're going into a hotel lobby. And it's just the paneling is great on this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go into the description, but like it's a lot of like two-fisted hero stories. You know what I mean? A lot of racism. Like
the thing
Japanese,
is, so all right, let's go there. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because I'm not.
I did not expect that when I turned the page.
I don't need to defend it. I'm not going to defend it at all.
Especially
however, I don't believe that Eisner was intentionally creating racist stereotypes.
Yes.
Or okay, let me rephrase that. Actually, he knew what he was doing, but it was acceptable to do it.
Yes.
You know,
and to be honest, every comic book did it like that.
Yeah.
Because when you watch like comic book documentaries and they have what Eisner talk about, every villain that you had during World War II was Japanese, was buck-toothed or fang.
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes, and that's like how you drew all the comics. Listen, I understand the time period.
Yeah.
But then what's good about this magazine, it jumps right to what he's really good at.
Right.
And that's the personal tale. And this one is about a weapon a kid used to rob somebody and the history of that weapon. And it's told in the style that Will Eisner is really known for.
So is that new content exclusive to that magazine?
I think so, because I've never seen this. I've read a lot of his books.
Yeah.
I've never read this short story. And it's the whole story is told through the perspective of the great in the street.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like, I love stuff like that. Look, The Ring, A Wedding Ring Lost in Time.
What a great talent he was. Really.
Yeah, imagine looking at the great. That's like me looking at a manhole and telling the story of everybody who ever walked over a manhole. And that's what this guy does.
I'm not creative enough to even come up with that idea, let alone execute it.
And the funny part is when you read his books, a lot of times he's the character in the story of how he failed at meeting women or stuff like that. Or he talks about people who fell in love and lost everything. And it's just crazy. The Treasure. And then it jumps to another one where it's like in 1951. I don't know if this is Eisner's work. I'm sorry. I'm having a really fanboy moment because I'm going to describe this to you.
Look how beautiful that splash page is.
It's not just that. It's the cover of the magazine, January 5th, 1951, and then the mailing list with the address that the post office would put when they mail you the comic as part of it. So it says 335 East 53rd Street from Mr. and Mrs. William Eisner. He put his own address on it. You don't know, nobody will understand this later on in life, how much magazines I own that I've picked up of famous comics that have somebody mailed to them. Or I'll describe comics at Marvel Comics, but you would get Sports Illustrated or Wrestling Magazine. And if you send it for a mailing list, they would just print it and put it on there and mail it to you.
Yeah.
And he put it on this as the splash page. That is awesome. I'm really having a fanboy moment.
That's pretty cool. I've got a piece of Bill Gaines's mail.
Really?
Yeah, an art catalog that was sent to the Mad Magazine offices to his attention.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in the world is one of my Spider-Man books that I have is the first Mac Gargan, who later becomes Scorpion. But it's a perfectly folded mail-away comic because it's Spider-Man swinging and right down Broadway is the swing, and that's the fold.
That's where the subscription crease would have been?
Subscription crease.
Yeah.
So Steve Ditko drew it out like that, which is going to be the next book we're talking about something else. But I love stuff like that, the mail-aways. And look, and it's all like just back issues. I don't remember what year this originally came out, but it's Kitchen Sink Press, $2, so it's got to be the late 80s, early 90s.
It's an 80s book, I'm almost sure, because
the way it's
before Kitchen Sink. Okay, so Spirit reprints. Kitchen Sink did 2 like underground style magazines with original Eisner covers. Then Warren did a run of Spirit magazines, and then Kitchen Sink came back and did it after that. So like,
okay.
and then it wound up with DC. So like the history of like Spirit reprints jumps from publisher to publisher a few times.
Nice. I love stuff like this. Is also the ads in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Is a comics journal where they're like crying. Roy Thomas doesn't pull any punches, and I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. And just another Conan ripoff that looks like Superman. But on the back, I'm gonna make Ian angry with this one, so I'm gonna enjoy this. Is the complete EC library hardcover stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I see those ads and I just
$65
Yep.
to have the whole run.
Yep.
Or if you want a portfolio of covers only for $12.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How could he say no? And I love the splash page, man.
The funny thing is, when I was a kid and I first started exploring EC, I was doing it through the Gladstone reprints and then the Russ Cochran reprints because I couldn't afford the originals. And that hasn't changed as they've only gotten more expensive, even if I make more money now than I did when I was a kid. But
Most definitely.
I remember being at a comic book store in Peterborough, Ontario, when I was visiting my grandparents called Odds and Ends Collectibles. And I remember it because the guy who worked there, his name was also Ian. And so I will always remember that guy. And he had the big hardcover, the Russ Cochran hardcover set of Tales from the Crypt. And I think he had $75 on it. It had the slipcase and everything. It was the whole box set.
I love that.
I didn't have the money for it. And I asked my parents, can you buy this for me? And they were like, we're not spending $75. I was 10 or 12 maybe.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't do it. And now, yeah, right. $75 would be an insane deal for that.
I see people still selling just the slipcase covers with no book.
Yep.
They're like, you figure it out, but it's $100 for that. You're like, really?
Yep.
And just to have it, to say have it.
That's why the EC collectors are called fan addicts.
Yeah. I'm collecting the trade paperback versions that have been printed, like that just started. Like you see it right next to you.
The Dark Horse ones.
The Dark Horse ones.
Yep, that's the most affordable way to do it.
$20 each. I'm up to right now. I'm waiting for another weird fantasy to come out or Tales from the Crypt 3.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything's coming out. My local comic shop, Royal Collectibles, gets it for me.
You didn't bother with the hardcovers. You just waited for the soft.
I never got my hands on the hardcovers.
Okay.
I've seen so many high prices on them. I was like, oh man, I gotta have them all. My big thing is I would pick up the single issues, like a famous book that what was the name of the creator? Bill Gaines.
Yeah.
He's famous for writing the first black antagonist in the comic book, Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's he wrote all the stories of Spaceman, and at the end you reveal he's African American. And people were in uproar over it, but he was like, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's like it was the character story. It's like you don't understand the hero's journey. And I thought that was brilliant because, like, you could tell this guy wanted to just write comics and good stories, and it didn't matter what you look like to him. It mattered that your content of character.
Yes.
And that's what I loved about it. So I have those before I picked up them.
Okay.
So I would pick them up, read them. I don't pick up the Native American ones too much because I'm really not for that. The other writers that write. But if it came out in one of these collections, I'll pick them up to finish. But I want to finish what's in the hardcovers now, the new Dark Horse. What's another book you got?
Well, I think you should talk about that one first.
All right. This one is a big book for me because it changed my perspective on comics a lot. I watched a documentary about Steve Ditko a couple of weeks ago. And then they mentioned of a character that he created that's actually the original version of what Alan Moore based Rorschach on. Am I pronouncing it right? Rorschach, I'm sorry. Rorschach on, called Mr. A. And it's actually a newspaper quality book of a character. I thought the whole time Rorschach was based on The Question.
Well, he is.
No,
but I think he's based on both.
No, because they interviewed Helen Moore in the documentary for a bit, and he goes, "No, I based it on Mr. A more."
But I think The Question is based on Mr. A, or vice versa.
I think they came around the same time, but I think this is a hardcore version. Or maybe
they're very similar characters.
They're very similar. Yeah. Probably Charlton Comics could only let you get away so much, but the rest is here. But in the documentary, the interviewer, he interviews Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore. Alan Moore talks about him meeting Ditko and saying, he goes, I based it on more Mr. A.
Okay.
So maybe that's it. Both same characters created by the same man.
Right.
But he got more of what he wanted in Mr. A. And there's only like 3 issues or something like that, or 2 issues. One, this was like the 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other one was like 1980, number 2. It didn't come out for a long time. It was like a huge decade. And I thought that was crazy. But I needed number 1. I got it for a great price online. I offered some random sellers like $30. He was like, you deal. Nice condition. I'm a big fan of magazine size stuff, but I don't have that much magazine stuff.
Can I flip through it?
Of course. Because I trust more than I trust myself. At least it's got to our friend Dominic, please buy real Scotch tape. You killed all my books the other day.
Did this come from him?
No.
Okay.
But his Scotch tape killed us the other day. We were sorting through books. I never. That stuff can hold the spaceship.
Yeah, it's a little dog-eared, but it's in good shape otherwise.
Yeah, for $30, and then it's gonna go to PC for life.
73. 73 was the copyright date on this. So the question came first because that was Blue Beetle #1, right?
Yes, I have that graded in my hand.
I have raw in my house.
I
super dense pages on this.
Yeah, well, look how much
Very
stuff
dialogue heavy. Like there's at least 8 panels on every page. Some of them have 9. Here's one with 6. It's a lot. Have you read it yet?
No. I picked this up. This came in the mail a couple of days ago. My brother had to bring it for me.
Mm-hmm. I haven't read this.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy. I'd like to get a copy, but I understand it's. Oop, the centerfold is in color. That's cool. I understand it. Like it's very like Ayn Rand politics. Everything is black and white.
That was a big thing about the documentary.
Yeah.
Because I actually had an incident when somebody saw 2 Aaron Rand comics I got. I was like, yeah, I got it as a gift. I put it in a pile of boxes downstairs. I was like, what do I need Aaron Rand books for? It's that whole individual pushing forward stuff. I'm not into that stuff, but it's weird when people judge you for having books like that.
Right.
But then they'll have a tattoo of the Watchmen.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know
what's interesting is okay, so there's the main story, and then in the back there's like these little single page, they look like little, almost like strips with the banner on the top, and the sizing of it is not regular comic magazine size. I wonder if at one point, because they're chapter 1, each chapter is a full page, if this was meant to be an ongoing newspaper strip at one point.
Probably for something like the Atlantic or something like that.
Maybe.
That would make sense because that's where most people made most of their money, was being on a strip.
This is published in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice to see a copy of that. I had my eye on it. Like I mentioned a couple episodes ago, Royal had one of those for $50 in nice shape. And I thought about it. One of these days I'm just going to do it.
The more oddball I'll go for it. Regular stuff I'm not going to because I can wait.
Yeah, there aren't a million copies of that book around.
No. And this is the stuff that nobody wants to go, how am I going to flip it? I'm like, it's not about flipping, it's about keeping.
So that leads into my next book, which was actually a gift because my friend Dan and his family went away for the weekend during spring break and needed somebody to feed their cats. So, so I did that, and I was given a nice bottle of scotch, and I was given The Mocker, which is another oddball Steve Ditko book. 1989. I have not read this. I'm flipping through it for the first time. There's no copyright info in the book. If you look through the back page, it says, if you enjoyed the art and or ideas in this book, you may be interested in our other publication. And it credits Robin Snyder in Bellingham, Washington. There's ads for other Ditko books like Static and Ditko Package and The Missing Man. I know The Missing Man appeared in a couple issues of Pacific Presents. Static, I believe, had an issue or 2 from Renegade. Oh, here's copyright information. It's just not at the front or the back of the book for some reason. So it's copyright 1990, and all of these stories were done in 89, it looks like. The first one originally appeared in color in Silver Star #2 in 1983, so that would have been Pacific. I have that book. So I've at least read that part. The rest of these, I don't think I've read. There's some interesting like Charlton House ads and Charlton poster art included in here as well. All black and white. Again, like Mr. A, if you flip through it, like,
oh my god, there's so many freaking panels.
This one, 1, 2, 3, 4. This has 18 panels on one page. It's nuts.
Bro, I have madness over here.
I'm
not gonna lie to you. I'm dying to look for more books later today. If we end up going back out, I might go rent the comic shop just to look at stuff.
If we finish this, maybe we hit Royal on the way back.
It's not even just that. I just love this.
Yep.
The fact that you just whipped out a book that's so poorly printed.
Well, and flip through it because it looks like like a continuation of what he's doing with the one you just went through, which is a really bizarre coincidence.
Print, but you know it's good.
Yeah, well,
because this is like a labor of love.
It's a Ditko passion project, so it's going to be weird and probably hard to read. But I mean, clearly he's got a thing for dudes and fedoras.
I think he sees himself as that character.
I think he might. I wonder how much of this like is biographical to an extent, or at least an extension of his personality.
Now I understand the question. Like the thing about him, about the question and the spirit, is that the people who wrote the stories, the same thing that Will Eisner said. He goes, "Oh, I got a great character who fights crime." They're like, "Oh, but mass superheroes." Like, all right, I'll give him a mask. The same thing for the question. It's mask don't mask. It's still the same character. It's just that he like it kind of kills me a little bit because it's like it's not as much imagination as it is more focused on the story, but not the character development of the design. Not the character design.
Right.
Development of the character, but not the design. and it kills me a little bit because it's crappily shown. But some of the best stories I love
Yeah.
is the question.
Oh yeah.
You know, would your did you read the Denny O'Neil run?
Uh huh.
I thought that was incredible.
It's
But
fantastic.
how about Robert Venditti?
No.
That one is a 6-issue run where of the question where in Metropolis,
Mhm.
a drug dealing gang figured out that if you go to the bathroom, Superman won't peek, so you can do all your drug dealing in bathroom. So
Very good of Superman.
Yeah. And they never reprinted in the trade, which angers the hell out of me. So I want trade paperbacks of all this stuff to read straight through.
Mhm.
Like Denny O'Neil, I'm still waiting for a good trade of that, or I got to get the omnibus, which I like to call the hemorrhoid maker.
That thing is huge.
But you want to read it. But that's why I want to get that. If you get a chance to, I'll grab you the single issues. They're always $1, but it's a great writing. And no, it's Rick Veitch and somebody else, not Robert Venditti. I'm sorry. It's I get confused with the last name. The guy from Swamp Thing.
It's not the one that Darwin Cook did the art on, is it?
No, I
Okay.
wish. He did the Spirit. I don't remember.
That's right. I'm confusing it. You're right. It was the Spirit.
No, but this one is Rick Veitch, the guy who wrote Swamp Thing.
So I have the first issue of the Rick Veitch miniseries. It was a 6-issue miniseries.
That's
It's got
the
a
one.
cool painted cover. I don't remember who did the art, and I think I only have the first issue, and I don't know if I've read it because I feel like I picked it up in a dollar bin at a con within the last
the
couple
books.
of
I
months.
was making a mistake. That's
Okay.
the books. I'll get you the other 5.
Cool.
They're always there's a couple of books during that time frame that I thought were phenomenal. Secret Six, Dead Shot by not by one of the writers from Law and Order named Mark Guggenheim, I think it was.
Okay.
That all of them came out at the same time. They were giving writers like a real free reign and write anything you could think of, and there's no parallel writing, which is the only way I can describe when somebody writes something, but somebody else comes out with a book similar to that. Nothing matched with other people. It was so cool and so original. Sorry, I'm a little dorking out to
That's
that.
all right. Dork out. That's what the podcast is for.
What's do you have another book, or should I jump to the next one?
Next.
All right, this one I just got, jumping back to Secret Six and Suicide Squad. This is a new writer who wrote a book, a Brooklyn cat named Spencer Ackerman. It's called Amanda Waller vs. Wildstorm, and it's an oversized black label book 1. I went to his signing to get it. I'm not going to go too much detail into this, as I am going to go into detail of his other work. But I love that the cover of this is a black exploitation movie, where even the tickets from the movie theater is part of it.
It's like those are rental stickers.
Rental stickers, yeah. So it's like a VHS
cover,
but a big VHS, but it looks like a black exploitation film.
It does.
And I thought it was so cool. Writer is so much fun. But he wrote a book about Trump in 9/11. And I kind of stopped him and I was like, hey, listen, where are you from? And he's like, no, I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up here and I'm writing it from a perspective as a writer in New York. And I was like, yo, let me get your book. And he signed it and he wrote it out in a big description as he writes about how 9/11 led to the FBI taking over and adding Patriot Act has led to the rise of people like Donald Trump, which was wild but he wrote it as a good long book, which I'm working on right now. I'll probably do Brooklyn Attic Books review of it. That's our friend of ours who has like a book podcast and a YouTube show. I love stuff like that, but I love the fact that he's writing because he worked for I think CIA. Not CIA or NSA, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So he's writing from a perspective as a covert op, but as an intelligence gatherer or a newspaper or writer from that time. I got to learn more about this guy while I'm reading his stuff, but that's what this book is.
So he's not just some weird conspiracy theorist guy.
Oh, he's a guy who's actually worked for the government in some form or another. And I love stuff like this, and I can't wait to keep reading it. Our work inside is okay because it's really Wildstorm. And Wildstorm was not great.
Yeah.
What's the next one for you, buddy?
All right. This is a $1 bin or $3 bin pickup from King Con. It's Friday the 13th Bloodbath issue number 1. It was part of Avatar Press's House of Horror line when they had the licenses for Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And maybe a handful of other ones.
No, it also had Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's the third one, yeah.
They were a wild company. They were putting out some really perverted stuff. That book is probably filthy as sin.
It's not X-rated, but it's definitely R-rated. It's from 2005. It starts off, there's like a deer walking through the woods, and then Jason Voorhees shows up. Some people run into him. They're driving down the road. They think he's dead. Of course he's not. They get out to check, and he kills them, shockingly.
Who's the writer on that book back then? Is that big flame?
Brian Pulido. Chaos Comics fame.
Lady Death over here.
Yeah, Lady Death.
Evil Ernie.
Yep. Anyway, then we cut to a camp. There's a bunch of campers. They're hanging out at a campfire. They're drinking, having hot dogs. They're having sex. Everybody's having sex. A lot of sex. Jason shows up and kills them. That's pretty much all there is to it. Like, literally,
Good book to have, but random.
It's
I loved those books when they were coming out.
They're fun, but I mean, let's be honest, it's not well written. It does
Not
not go in a specifically interesting direction. It brings nothing new to the character. Mike Wolfer, who is probably best known for his creator-owned Widow during the Bad Girl comics boom, he does the art. It's okay. I feel like the characters just look a little stiff, which is weird because they're having sex in half the book, and I don't mean stiff as in.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we can make a boner joke here, but we don't need to. They just look like they're not moving. They look like they're posed. You know, I always buy the Friday the 13th books and the Chainsaw Massacre and the Nightmare. I buy all that stuff when I find it cheap because I love horror movies and I like to collect that stuff, but it's not going to the top of my best of list.
I don't think nobody's.
$3 was a fair price.
Don't let me forget, I actually have a horror book that I don't know if you have. Do you have Wolf Cop?
Yes.
Oh, I found it. I was like, oh, let me give this to this guy. So you have it already.
Mm-hmm.
This you said it's Avatar Press?
Yeah.
I think they're the people who came out with Crossed and all that stuff, like Uber and all that stuff.
Yep.
Their claim to fame was the Garth Ennis with his super psychotic books. And like, what a weird fan base for it, but it covers all the guys. When I was younger around this time, I was like still even this book about 21. A lot of people were like, it was like rebirth of like slasher films. And a lot of people were getting into it. So this was like really filling in the bill for all the guys I know that collected pinhead stuff or tattoos of that stuff.
Yep.
This is definitely for them to own.
Yep. Avatar's deal was they would bring on creators and say, we're not going to censor you, do what you want.
Wow. Okay.
That was their thing. Now there's other issues that I won't get into in terms of like how they operate. It's not always great. But
why don't we talk about it? Or is it too weird?
Yeah.
Is that wow?
Yeah.
It's too weird for a Queen's Comic podcast.
It's hearsay on my part, and I don't want to go there.
Then we'll leave it like that because hearsay is we don't want to be involved in that because that's the one thing we've learned about a lot of like press companies, like because there's like even the comics day people are involved in that stuff, and I don't want nothing to do with that.
I will say I have personally had a negative experience with them, and I'll leave it at that. I'll tell you about it off mic.
No problem.
At any rate, they have put out some interesting books. I don't want to take that away from them because I thought Crossed was really good. David Lapham's Caligula is surprisingly good. I mean, it's Lapham. Lapham can tell a good story.
David Lapham?
Yeah, from Stray Bullets.
We got to talk about him for a second.
Sure.
Next. Do you mind if we jump on that?
Go for it.
I don't like Stray Bullets.
What?
I don't like Stray Bullets.
That surprises me.
Yeah, which shocked me too because I tried to read it, but there's some stuff that I was just like, I don't like adding sexist stories at the time. For some reason, I don't feel like it fits.
Okay.
And he wrote Batman City of Crime. Phenomenal book. It's a type of Clayface villains called Mud People. They're doing robberies, murders, and it's like a 12-page book. It was like his introduction to the mainstream. It's around this year, 2003, 2004. And you know what it is? It's a big forgotten book because it leads into Judd Winnick's Red Hood storyline.
Okay, yeah, I haven't read that.
Oh, okay. It's like right before. It's on. If you ever look at my timeline, Batman shelf, it's all in timeline when it came out, from what I can remember.
I'll find it. I'll find the single
Crime
issue.
is great. It's a 12 issue.
Okay.
Just get the trade. It's like $5-10.
Okay. Yeah, that's the way.
Will be some like great writing.
Illustrated as well.
Can't remember.
Okay.
I think so. You could tell this guy's a good writer. And I tried to get the Stray Bullets because they came out with Morales, the big.
The huge book.
But then they came out with another couple of issues afterwards, and I was like, "Oh, you already came out with Morales." That's what drives me nuts. If you already have a big collection, it's over.
Yeah,
show's over. So what else? Next up, give me 1 second. Is a book that I'm going to be a little bit careful with, but I'm going to hand it to you first.
Do you want me to take it out of the back?
Yeah, be careful with the plastic.
Yep.
I got this in that mystery box called "In the Days of the Mob" from Jack Kirby. And this was a book that's always been on my list because when we were talking a few episodes ago,
we did on our Kirby episode. We talked about how we both want a copy of this.
Yeah, and then it just showed up, and this was the best book out of those mystery boxes because they stunk. Those little books that are next to you, those little pamphlet books, were the only other things.
Those are cool. Yeah, you got like a dozen or so issues of Comic Reader, the fanzine from the 70s and 80s. I love those things.
I love stuff like that too, and I love the little digest-sized superhero book.
Right.
But what made me happy is the Jack Kirby book. I would like to finish the Jack Kirby stuff, but there was one I messed up. It was a Dingbat.
The Dingbats book we talked about.
And did you know that the Jack Kirby Museum had an exclusive just for Mocha for like $30, like of a different variant cover of that?
No.
Cover? I was like, oh man, I wish I went to Mocha.
Yeah.
I missed out, but like
I wonder if they got any left. You could find them on the website.
Probably. Maybe. They're a great organization. And I heard there was not a big buying fest there.
Right.
Like people were there to try to game in.
Mhm.
Mike Mignola, of course, was there selling artwork, and he's the goat when it comes to horror stuff. I just picked up a big random variant cover that Ian found for me today at a street sale, at Street Side's comic book sale.
Yeah, you got a Hellboy variant.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've never seen that. Usually I've seen them all.
Did you bring it in?
It's in the box. I gotta pull it out.
Let's pull it out.
Yeah, let me go through this one real quick.
Because I want to know what it is. Because that cover is awesome.
Yeah, most definitely.
Anyway, back to the mob.
Yeah, Ma's Boys was talking about Ma and a criminal group. Like I guess it's like Ma Baker.
Probably, yeah.
And I love all this stuff. The smell is what really brings me. In. I'm sorry, like I know. I always tell people in our commercials that we did a while ago. I was like, don't get caught selling your books, but this is so cool.
It was crazy. I bought a couple of long boxes a few weeks ago of older stuff. My whole apartment smelled like old comics for a couple of days.
That's such a great smell.
It was weird. It was a little overwhelming when it was a couple of boxes of stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. You feel like you're about to catch fire. Also, it came with the poster, which is really hard to get with this stuff. It's a John Dillinger Public Enemy #1 poster for $20,000 reward. It's the original poster reprinted just for this. And then it jumps into another story. Jack Kirby drawing regular people and not superheroes is a little bit throwing me off.
Yeah.
I was like, shouldn't there be like a laser shooting out of his neck?
Nobody's punching anybody.
No, and then on the back is like some random cartoons that look like Hembeck. Called Killjoy was here, I guess, instead of Kilroy.
Did Kirby draw those?
No, these are different artists. Okay. It's the Valentine's Day Massacre. It's all mafia stories like retold. Instead of Kilroy, it says Killjoy. Huh. And Killjoy is here by Sergio Aragonis.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So this is a lot of fun. You want to flip through it real quick?
Yes, I do.
Do some description while I grab out that book.
Yeah. The Roaring '30s comes alive in the days of the mob. You got to love that cover. It really stands out.
The nerds.
Yep. Yeah, so you get the story, Ma's Boys, which is a 15-pager about Ma Barker. You were close when you said Ma Baker. You were close.
You know what it is? I was listening to a singer named Boney M sing about Ma Baker. Like he made it rhyme. It's the Rasputin song guy.
Yeah, Boney M. Rasputin. Yeah.
Yeah, he has one about Ma Baker. It was on my repeat for my car.
Yeah. So yeah, there is Aragonis in here. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's cool. I need this. Someday I'll get a copy. When it shows up, it's not crazy expensive because I feel like it's not superhero stuff, so a lot of people don't care about it. It's kind of a niche title, but it's fun. I like this stuff.
Most definitely. Before I jump into the Hellboy, I also have the comic book here that kind of annoyed me. I've been looking for. It's the reprint of the original Marvel Comics #1.
Oh yeah.
And I've been looking for this sucker for a while, and it's kind of weird, like seeing like an updated version of this. And I don't know if this is like reprinted. It's the 70th anniversary from 2009. I think this is the original stuff because it's so tacky.
That would be. Is that the first Human Torch?
First Human Torch, yeah. Forrest Kazar.
Right.
The Gray, and then the Human Torch.
Cool.
Yeah, if you want to check it out real quick. And then let me try to open
up what looks like a new Alex Ross cover on it.
It looks like Alex Ross, but I can't tell you. I think it's Adi Granov. If I nailed that one, I'm really good at comics.
Jelena Kevic.
Oh, nice. All right, this one I didn't know. This one is kind of a great cover of the Hellboy cover, but it's a reprint of a kind of a corny book. But the interior is amazing. It's Kramshunak.
Is that the Adam Hughes one?
Huh?
Is that the one that Adam Hughes did the interiors on?
Bingo. I was about to say the highlight is.
I like that book. I like that book.
It's corny, but it's a one shot. He's a very good artist. But I'm not going to lie to you, the quintessential Mike Mignola artist is going to be Richard Corbin.
Well, the quintessential Mike Mignola artist is Mike Mignola, but
I'm
if you take him out of the equation, Corbin's work on Hellboy is pretty amazing.
But this is pretty good.
But Hughes does a good Hellboy. He really does.
Yeah, look at how cool Krampus looks.
Krampus looks badass.
And what a great alternate cover. I'm really annoyed at incentives.
How often do you get a chance to see Adam Hughes draw really creepy monsters? He's drawn cheesecake covers, which he's fantastic at, don't get me wrong, but I mean, the man can do monsters.
You know what it is that it's a one shot, and I was hoping more for a bigger book.
So yeah, right.
I'm a library edition man, so I gotta have everything in library edition for Hellboy, but it's gonna be a while till this one gets collected in something.
Yeah, there'll be some sort of odds and ends collection that it'll show up at some point.
Volume 8, baby. Just give me a big one.
So I want to know about that.
Which one? This?
The next one in your pile.
Oh yeah, this is another one. We had two of these. I had to give one to Jake. Oh yeah, we also got to talk about the other stuff. This falls under the same thing as this.
All right.
This is the Marvel book Sticker Adventures from the 80s. Marvel Superhero Secret Wars Tower of Doom. And let me open this up.
I've never seen this, so I'm super curious about it.
This is This is part of where they're trying to attract a younger audience into all their stuff.
Well, this was been around the time they had the the Secret Wars action figure line, probably.
100%.
Yeah.
But in here, it was like sticker book like they had for a lot of stuff. And they're all here. They're all here. The cutouts are all here. It's some of the worst cutouts ever. It's like somehow Spider-Man has a shield, I guess. Little parts of Spider-Man's head, Wolverine's head, face. This is all the 80s.
You're probably supposed to come out and like create characters in certain scenes, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
And then you open up the book and you fill in all the missing parts. And that's the thing. The Tower of Doom is that 1984. So this is literally that came out like they all have shields for some reason.
Yep.
And I guess
I think some of the toys, the characters came with shields whether they needed them or not.
Maybe? That explains it.
Maybe.
Well, also that was the time that they had other things like they would start doing little gimmicky things like holographic figures. Like some toys would have holographic figures on their chest. So I think those are ones that had holographic figures.
Some of the He-Man guys had like battle damage that you could do.
Yeah, no, but I mean like the company who made them like was trying to come up with new gimmicks.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
This is really cool because it's on the cover. It's Kang, Dr. Octopus, some version of Dr. Doom, but looks like a Centurion.
Mm-hmm.
But before we jump in, let me jump into the other book to make sense out of this.
Yeah, do it.
This is where they're trying to bring in a younger audience. But then today we picked up something that's really early. This is for Mike Hurley. This is from
Mike.
Yeah, sometimes Mike was on the show. I forgot he was on here. This is a sealed copy of Record Story Activity coloring book from 1980. That's this one is the Fabulous Fantastic Four, where a kid will read this along with a vinyl record that plays to tell the voiceovers of the characters.
When I was a kid, I had some Disney stuff that was like read along books.
Bingo. So this is like to bring a younger audience in. I guess they were already seeing that people were getting a little bit old. And there's an activity book, but it's sealed. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but that's from Mike, so when I see him, it's his.
Cool. He owes you one for that.
What's the next one?
All right, Brat Pack #1 by Rick Veitch. King Hell Press.
We're just talking about that guy.
Issue, yeah. #1 of 5. What year is this? 1990. Published by King Hell, which was his self-publishing company in association with Tundra. It's Watchmen-esque in that it's like a deconstruction of like superhero cliches, focused more on the sidekicks.
Nice.
And it gets weird and perverse and very, very dark. It involves a character who is essentially Robin. If you look at that panel there,
most definitely.
He's basically Robin. On the cover, like he's shaving his legs to make himself look younger. And it involves him kind of like coming to terms with getting older and having to deal with other sidekicks, some of whom have like substance abuse problems. One of whom, there's a female who is attractive from the neck down, but doesn't want people to look at her face because she's got acne and stuff like that. And it's humorous, but it's also really twisted. The main villain in it is like a BDSM freak who's got like a zipper mask and everything, and who is seen hanging himself at one point. It's bizarre. I really want to finish the series, and I've seen them around in dollar bins and stuff, and always been curious because I like Rick Veitch's work. But I wanted to start with #1. I didn't want to just grab a random issue because I figured I'd have no idea what was going on with it. So yeah, I'll maybe have more to say when I find the other issues. The first issue sets up some really bizarre stuff, really twisted stuff. His illustration style is on point, though. The art's really good.
Does he do both things?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What happened to that writer?
I don't know.
That's the thing. You see him on all these DC books. Even he did Vigilante for a little while.
He followed Alan Moore on Swamp Thing, which was a big deal.
He did a lot of DC Comics Presents. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of these indie books. And then you're like...
80s and 90s, he was pretty prominent. And then he had... have you ever seen Roaring Rick's Rare Bit Fiends?
No.
Okay, so that... I want to say there were like 15, maybe 20 issues of that run. I've got a bunch of them. And it's just kind of an illustrated dream journal. Sometimes you got contributions from other people, like Neil Gaiman contributed to one issue. And I'm sure there were other artists involved there as well. I don't have them in front of me to look it up, but he did a bunch of those, and that was under King Hell and self-published as well. So, after, I guess, when he finished doing a lot of work at DC, he went and did a bunch of indie stuff, and I haven't looked into him. I don't know. I hope he's still alive.
Well, the thing is, though, as a writer, it's hard to live off of residuals from some of this.
Yeah.
Shit. So I have no idea, but as an artist, I can only imagine maybe he's doing a lot of story work. Because we were talking about an artist off on the show about a friend of mine who does artwork for Murder Falcon, but she does most of her money comes from doing storyboards for movies.
Yeah, I believe that. He's still alive.
Yeah,
I'm looking him up right now. He's still alive, so that's cool that he's still alive. Maybe we'll get more work from him.
One day, you never know. Some of these guys have a song to sing that we're still waiting to hear the end of.
Yep, absolutely.
So now I'm going to look out for a Brat Pack for you.
Yeah, do that. You're up next.
All right. This is the last one on my set because I know Ian got a good setup. Then we have a trade paperback we're going to go over. He gave me a book that I've been dying to read. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. It's from Heavy Metal Presents called Alien, the Illustrated Story by Archie Goodwin and Walter Simonson. And I don't think it gets better than that because Goodwin has written a lot of work. I just looked at a whole list of them and I was like trying to remember all this stuff. But it's based on the movie Alien. But I'm a big fanatic on this stuff. So I'm going to open this up and go through it. And also anything Walter Simonson does, I'm in.
It's good.
I don't care.
Are you flipping through this for the first time?
First time. I didn't have time, man. I've been just stuck at work. And
just be careful with the last couple of pages because I think they're loose.
No problem. I'm just a tape taker offer. I take them shits right off. Dominic killed me with the tape he uses. I don't know what they were, but
resealable bags are better.
No, I'm okay with resealable bags, but what he gave me, I had 300 books to remove. I was dying.
It's a lot of tape.
Yeah. And Walter Simonson definitely fits in as an artist that could have been doing heavy metal in Europe for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's already so good. They really incorporated Geiger.
Oh yeah, the logo on the opening spread page is the way that Simonson illustrated that to make it look like alien matter. I guess.
Yeah. It really incorporates the Geiger work and stuff and the style. And I love the alien ship. I'm like, come on, this is so cool.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what it is? The best thing about Alien, like the franchise, should we talk about another podcast, is that the interpretations of the artwork for other people.
Yeah.
When you find out that like Giger, his work was taken into it, starting from Dune, from the Jodorowsky story. Jodorowsky, I'm sorry, messed up. And I love that because it's like the idea of incorporating. I love the spaceship look cushiony on the inside because you can get beat around. Oh, dude, this is so good. This is the kind of stuff that I would have paid a fortune for artwork, but I love the fact that there's so much of it, I can't attain all of it.
Right.
It's pretty spot on, all the characters.
Yeah, he does a good job with the likenesses.
But very much his artwork reminds me a lot of Judge Dredd and Nemesis and a lot of the British books. Yeah. So, it's very relatable.
He's got a really fine line. Yes. He doesn't go like with a lot of heavy inks and a lot of thick line work and stuff, which allows him to kind of get some really cool detail, especially into the ships and into the creature once you get that far.
So good. I love the spaceships. And then the ship.
Yeah, the double page spread with the ship to give it some scale.
And then the space jockey. I hate they changed it. I love the fact that we call it space jockey and we thought it was an elephant looking man.
Yep.
And then they had to mess it up and he looks like just some big headed white guy. I think I liked him better when I knew.
As a big-headed white guy, I take offense to that, Billy.
Bro, I'm big-headed short guy. So. The alien looks phenomenal. The shading looks great. Man, comics are fun.
Comics are fun. This is why we're sitting around talking about comics we like.
I know, right? What was your favorite Archie Goodwin books? Because I looked it up. He messed me up just now because I just added books to my list that I must own.
Okay.
He wrote and did the first solo Medusa book for Marvel Comics, Marvel Superheroes from number 15 or something like that. I didn't even know that. He's just written so many books that just fell under there as his best work.
He's written tons of stuff, and I don't know if I could pick a favorite because he's one of those writers that has written a million books, and I'm like, I know I probably have 200 books he's written in my collection, but I can't name them because they don't really don't stand out. I'm more familiar with Thomas, especially because of Conan, because I was a huge Conan fan.
No, but still am. But he wrote so many books or co-wrote that you don't even know. Like we were complaining earlier when I met him, I didn't even know he wrote Hulk.
Right.
It was Bill Everett and Roy Thomas.
He did a big stint on Avengers too.
Yeah, that I do know, but like when you do so much work, it's just out there. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Archie Goodwin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got him mistaken for Goldwater. This the guy used to work for that created Archie, and I froze up. And I was like, oh no, it's not the guy. So this is definitely a big part of my collection. Downstairs, I added a lot of amazing books.
Cool.
And it was all dollar books. I'm a big fan of these prestige size format books. So I'm trying to finish all the DC ones and finding any heavy metal ones like this is a real plus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
heavy metal, anything from that era is worth grabbing because you don't know who's going to be in it, but you know there's going to be at least one or two good artists in every issue.
100%. They can't keep it up now, and I like seeing new artists. But I'm like, gee whiz, book a little bit harder.
Right.
You know, give me your best. Well, the problem is heavy metal also owns the IP for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So people don't come out with their best stuff. which we might talk about this at the end. There's a new comic book company that like I'm a little bit of afraid of to see what's coming out now because there's so many co-owners. You've heard of it?
No.
Oh, it's called Distillery.
Okay.
It's really cool. A friend of the show is Becky Cloonan is a part owner, but it's more of a stock owners. And James Tinian the fourth is part of it.
Mhm.
And there's like 20 or 30 more people that are all part of ownership. And I want to see what they put out, but it kind of waters down the work they're already doing, like on Wonder Woman,
Right.
Department of Truth, because they own the IPs to some characters, not like Wonder Woman, but like the Department of Truth from Image. But then sometimes people have to hold back their stories.
Mhm.
And you want to see what they're going to come out with. That's why Substack didn't make it that well. It's more of a journalist page.
Yeah.
But the comic book wise, I was like, I can't wait to see what comes out. But because they're holding back their best shit for that. You know, because you own this. Your best ideas will come out here.
Right.
So Distillery hopefully comes out with good stuff. Did you read any of the Bad Idea books?
No.
They're terrible. I'm sorry. I was all excited because it's Peter Milligan. A lot of writers.
I didn't read any of the recent Bad Idea books. I did read and enjoy The Lot. I thought that one was
The
really
Lot is excellent. That's
Yeah.
a 4-part series, and that was it.
I haven't read anything in the last year or so.
I thought it was going to be really well, but they didn't pick up a lot of indie artists. They got picked up by Black Caravan.
Mhm.
Black Caravan puts out a lot of great books.
They do.
I love Black Caravan. I forget who puts out Pirate Girl, the really...
Pirate Girl was Bad Idea.
Bad
wasn't it?
Idea? No, it's not.
Oh, no, that was there. Okay. Pirate Queen
Pirate Queen
was Bad Idea.
Another-
Pirate Girl, I know what you're talking about. I don't have that. I haven't read it.
Pirate Queen, I like from the artwork perspective. I didn't get a chance to read it.
You have it, though, right? That's
I have
super
the
hard to
whole
find.
I have the whole run.
Yeah.
I collect anything Bad Idea because I gave it a chance.
Mhm.
But I'm starting to see that, like, you see people a little bit nervous to share their ideas with other people and share it with another company. So hopefully now that Distillery's coming out, this is going to be their full foot forward.
Okay.
The best ideas, the stuff that they've been holding back.
Right.
And I know, and some of these writers are phenomenal. You know they're damn good. Jock is part of it, the great artist who did all the artwork for Batman that everybody goes nuts for, the Joker.
That Joker cover, yeah.
The Joker face and a couple other covers. Can't wait to see what he does. But you're waiting. You're like, I feel like I don't know what else to say. I'm just like, come on, let's see what you're coming out with.
Yeah.
But let's see. What's another book you got?
I don't have anything ready.
My bad. I went off the deep end with complaining a little bit. So
That's good. It's good. We're already at the 55-minute mark.
So let's finish up with you want to do a Superman book that you got right there? There's that one people are complaining about a little bit too much, and I love that book.
Yeah, I mean, I've never owned a copy of this before, but it's the...
You don't even have to open it. I already know it by heart. It's my favorite Superman.
The Grant Morrison, Frank Quietly, Superman run, first issue. Is it All-Star Superman? Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
or is it just
All-Star.
Superman? Yeah.
No, it's All-Star Superman. It's the greatest Superman story by all time.
I have not read it. This is the first time looking at it. I mean, I've always liked Frank Quietly's art, so I'm happy to have this.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I don't really care about Superman, but you put Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly on it together, I'm gonna take a look at it. Picked this up earlier today and was happy to have it. Why don't you talk about the plot since you've read it?
I've read this book multiple times, and I love it. Lex Luthor finally gets his revenge. So he does the one thing that he can. Superman saves a bunch of people on a spaceship that's orbiting the sun and exploring it. What happens is it hyper activates all his cells. So now they're all popping.
Mhm.
So Superman realizes, oh my God, I'm going to die. And it's an acceptance of his mortality.
Okay.
Because the whole time he doesn't have to accept it. But he's getting new superpowers.
So that's cool because that's doing something different with Superman.
Yeah, but every issue will make you cry.
I don't want that.
No, but in the way that comic books should.
Okay.
Every issue addresses a part of his life that he has to go through. My favorite issue is that he doesn't know what to do with the city of Kandor. So he's like, screw it. You're all miniaturized. Let's take you to a cancer hospital and try and make you kill cancer.
Oh,
in a
cool.
whole
All right.
hospital.
Yeah.
And then he takes them to Mars and lets them build a city from there. So you see, like, his influence on the city has made them all good people as well. And this is their chance to grow and thrive without him. Because soon he's going to go. I'm tearing up talking about it. He's just so good. Then there's an issue where Lois Lane goes to Fortress of Solitude with him. And he's making something for her, but she doesn't know. So she starts getting paranoid and tries to kill him.
Oh, wow.
So the whole issue is that. And she doesn't know why. And at the end, he goes, "Oh no! One of the effects of the kryptonite from my planet, I think the green one, not the green one. I'm sorry, the green one kills him. The blue one makes you paranoid, and it affects human beings to a certain degree. So she tries to shoot him with one of the guns there, but then it follows over her getting kidnapped by the sons of Samson, Samson's son, I guess, like the two Atlas and somebody else, And I think they incorporated into the Shazam movie those two characters, but as female characters instead of men. I haven't watched the Shazam one.
Me neither.
But it's the trials of like Superman, and so now he has to face off against them, like arm wrestle them at the base of a volcano and stupid stuff. But then it keeps going on. Every issue is another heart wrenching.
How many did it run?
12.
Okay,
Over the best goddamn issues I read in my damn life.
So I'm going to read issue 1, and if I dig it, I probably will, given
I'll get you
the pedigree of the creators. Then I'll pick up the rest of them.
The only issue that I don't want to ruin it for you, but the Legion of Superheroes show up in the past to talk to him, and it's the time around when his father passes away. So it's some time travel. So it addressed people were going nuts for this book because of James Gunn posted that he was reading it.
I saw that. People go nuts for anything. James Gunn could have just been reading a comic, and that might be it. Or maybe he's leaving little breadcrumbs. Who knows?
He is a breadcrumb man.
Yeah.
But I'm telling everybody right now, as a fan, go find Paul Levitz and find out every book he ever did of Legion of Superheroes because he created a majority of them. Pharaoh Lad, Element Eating Lad, Star Boy, Matter Eating Lad. Who's Element then? Element something. Element Gal. Okay. They have corny names.
Yeah.
The thing is though, there's the original ones that were created, like the first 5, and then since then, from when he took over writing, like 16 or something like that, he created Matter Eating Lad, Bouncing Boy, the fat one that looks like me for some reason. Saturn Girl's in there. All of those characters that he created are going to be part of, I think, in that Superman movie, because I think he's going to go full on,
maybe,
and make it like a Legion of Superheroes, because Superman is that.
Yeah.
And then so that's gonna be dope. Sorry, that's my favorite Superman book of all time.
No, that's cool.
There's never one of our posters is actually Superman that I use for our Queen when we do Queen's Public Library shows. It's Superman. Everybody knows that. So definitely get that one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I will check it out.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Sorry, I went into the deep end on that one.
That's all right. That's what you do.
Yeah. So we're signing off. I'm Billy Bombs.
I'm Ian.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.